Okay. Let's move on to Crazy now from the Northern Territory. So we have Ash, Infused Junior, Prince Koala, Hulk, and Haddo, who played on Crazy. They finished 23rd. Sync's list had them in at 24, so they finished one place higher. What can we say about Crazy there, Four Eyes?
Well, Hulk is returning. I think his last played Nats was 2016, I think. And obviously Ash is returning as well. I don't recognize any of the other names, unfortunately. But I hear Infused Junior is EMI's son?
Correct. Yes.
Is that right? Oh,
yeah.
Okay, cool. Dude's tall, man. Far out. But as a team, again, it was a little bit of an experience mixed with the hiatus of Hulk. He was a pretty good player back in 2016, from what I remember. Just in terms of their attack and defense, it was just their defense was actually pretty good. They'd always have three people there, but maybe that could have been their downfall because they would always have three people at their base. Perhaps when there was only, for example, just me attacking, just poking around and having a look, they would always have three staying home. They had the resources to maybe sacrifice that one extra defender to push out and maybe get some more points. But as far as their attack goes, it was pretty solid.
Judging by the stats, we had Infused Junior and Prince Koala were the ones with the highest base average, and they also had the highest average scores of the team. So my guess would be that I can't remember versing this team, unfortunately, but my guess would have been that Infused Junior and Prince Koala were the main attackers. Ash, being the most experienced player in the team, I imagine was leading, but judging by her stats and what I roughly remember, I think she was captaining or leading from more of like a mid position, I guess. So she would crunch home and prioritize the defense very much, but when nothing's going on, she would leave the base and try and be that third person to have some kind of an impact on the attack, which in Bendigo you were able to do from, you didn't have to venture very far from your base to have some kind of a sight line on the enemy base, and even if you just tag that one player, that can be the difference of getting a base or not.
Yeah, I can confirm that Ash was a pain in defense. A lot of the time she would be positioned under the base, and I would just somehow always forget that she was there. So I'd come flying into a base and get ready to set up, and then I'd be tagged out and I'd look around and be like, oh yeah, yep, she's there. So again, their defense was really good. Like I mentioned before, maybe if she played outside of the base, but what she was doing was working for them. So I can't really criticize it too much because it was keeping me out. So yeah.
And that was one of those things where until the last day, pretty much, there weren't very many teams that had any defenders inside of the base, because they were very hard to hold in the way we normally imagine holding a last line position. That did change on the last day, particularly in the higher tier. I can't comment on the lower tiers, but initially we versed the Sabres. So Aftershock versus the Sabres, and we saw them do it at blue base, and we didn't have anything for blue base, so we were like, we're going to use that. So I think it was only less Sabres and then us that I remember really seeing use it. But then on the last day, everyone was using it. So was that something you noticed? Were more people doing that inside the base on that last day for us, or?
Yeah, I think especially down towards the bottom end of the competition, a lot more people were a little bit more conservative. They didn't want to give up too many bases, but there was points in the game where I wouldn't call it base hunger, but people would realize, we might not be as far ahead as we feel. So they would kind of push out and leave their defense open a little bit more often than what they would have up in the higher tier. It all just comes down to experience again, especially being able to read the game. It's something that I'm not very good at, but there are players that I came up against in the lower end, especially Nickel. He's a good game reader. In terms of Crazy, yeah, Ash being the leader of the game from inside a base, I feel you can't really you can't really read that much from in that stationary position. You kind of got to be out there floating around a bit more, but that's just my opinion, but it was working for them, so yeah.
Yeah, and maybe it was a case of Ash wasn't even in an in-game leader position, if that's the case.
Yeah,
maybe
true.
It was Infused Junior. Like, you normally wouldn't expect the first-year players to be doing that, but it does happen. Lakeo, first-year captain, got third in his first Nats, so it's not impossible. So yeah, maybe that's a case of Ash did step down from a leadership role and then let Infused Junior or Prince Koala to lead the game, because they were the ones that had the stats that you would usually expect from a in-game leader as well. Just something quick to note. So if we look at the average scores, Crazy actually had the lowest average score from round robin, Cascade 1 and Cascade 2. So that kind of backs up what you were saying a little bit of teams being very conservative, and then maybe Crazy not making proper use of their defensive players when nothing's happening. And that's something that I found as I've traversed through I played at pretty much every tier of the competition myself as well. And I think one of the biggest thing that separates the higher end teams from the lower end teams is how they use their defenders when no one's attacking them. It's a massive part of, because, if you have a 3 defense and a 2 attack is usually that's what you generally see at every base, right? If you've got a really good 3-man D, it's really hard for a 2-man attack to be able to break through that, because you're obviously outnumbered. You have the ability to outposition them or move around and stuff, but it's still the odds aren't in your favor. So being able to have that third defender push up to a field pointing position and just tag that one person and then make it a 2v2 can have a massive impact on a team's ability to get more bases and stuff, and then also accrue pack points. So that'd be, I guess, leading into the question we were gonna ask in terms of what Crazy could do to improve in the future. That'd be my recommendation, I guess.
Yeah. Have you got anything to add to that, Peter?
Yeah, like I mentioned before, utilizing your defenders when nothing much is going on, and knowing when to push out and when to pull home, and that sort of thing would definitely help them. I know Ash has got the in-game experience to kind of guide them to do that, and with Hulk returning, I definitely know that he's had that experience as well, especially up in the Northern Territories, playing with those guys up there. But yeah, another thing I just want to mention is, especially when it comes to defending, their communication and their positioning was really good. It was quite surprising. Not trying to talk down to them or anything, but it was quite surprising to see how well positioned their defense was when I was trying to get in or when I was trying to attack with a partner. Yeah, it was really cool to see. So I was just like, oh man, I got to put my big boy pants on now and actually work hard for this base, Yeah.
I think one other thing I wanted to note, something I noticed when I was going through the stats of this year and also previous years. So Crazy was actually placed 24th, so the last place, the wooden spoon position, from round robin, Cascade 1 and Cascade 2. But on the very last day, they were able to climb to the 23rd position. And Ghost Bears basically had the reverse effect, where they were 23rd for the whole comp until the last day, and they dropped down that one position. Interestingly, pretty much the exact same thing happened in 2020 Nats. So it was the New Zealand Tigers were in last place for the entirety of the comp. I believe I don't think they got a win until the last day, and that win is what got them out of the wooden spoon. And it ended up, funnily enough, being a Canberra team that swapped places with them. So just a case of history repeating itself a little bit. I just thought that was interesting. A little bit of trivia.
There you go. Interesting fact. We'll put that in a future quiz or something like that.
Yeah.
Which teams have done that?
Midweek pub quiz.
Exactly. So, that's our review on Crazy. It sounds like there's a lot to work with there. having a foundation of a solid defense is it's the blueprint for most sports. Most championship teams start with a rock solid defense, and then the capacity to switch from defense into attack, like you were mentioning, Holmes, is something that you refine over time and get better and better and better at. So good luck to Crazy in the coming months, and hopefully we see you in 12 months' time in Hobart.
I would definitely love to play them again. Yeah, a good
absolutely.
team.
I want to see Infuse Junior too. I want to see if he plays like his old man or not.